From resources you need to survive to some everyday products we use that are luxuries in other countries, here are 10 things the world is running out of. Number 10. Living space. Overpopulation has become a threat to humanity as we know it, and we can already see from places such as India and China that the world is beginning to get a little bit overpopulated. You can tell from this graph here that the human population has exploded exponentially to unimaginable levels in recent years. It's quite frightening to say the least. Can the world as we know it sustain a population with this many animals who require so much? What happens when we simply run out of desirable land to support everyone? It's very possible that human overpopulation is causing a shortage of many of these things on this list. In Japan, for example, the country is about the size of California. However, there are 3 times as many people in Japan than California. Some are forced to live in tiny coffin-sized homes or hotels. China's population has reached 1.4 billion people. India's population is 1.3 billion people. Not all the planet is habitable, and by looking at this graph, Earth's population is supposed to reach 9.6 billion, which will jump by 38%, and someday we will reach the maximum capacity. Where are all these people supposed to move to, and how will we manage our resources in years to come? Number 9. Seafood. Fishermen are coming back empty-handed. Humans have clearly overfished some species, and if we continue at the pace we are fishing now, some believe we will be completely out of delicious seafood by 2048. Fish makes up a huge part of people's protein supply, and overfishing has harmed the fragile ecosystem of marine environments. There are also factors such as pollutants, ocean temperatures rising, and urbanization of coastal areas. Some species of fish that are threatened by overfishing include bluefish tuna, monkfish, Atlantic halibut, turtles, sharks, dolphins, whales, swordfish, etc. Pretty much any fish that tastes good. Some fish have become contaminated with radiation such as the salmon after the Fukushima incident that are riddled with tumors. The fish need a stable environment that isn't being interrupted by humans and disasters in order to thrive. Different methods of fishing can completely disrupt fish on the ocean floor that aren't even targeted in the first place. This leads to an unbalanced ecosystem full of jellyfish and plankton. What will Earth's oceans look like in 50 years from now, and will there still be popcorn shrimp available? Only time will tell. Number 8. Tequila. What will the world do without tequila, the magical drink that can miraculously make ugly girls look much prettier? How are white girls supposed to get trashed during spring break? Yes, unfortunately, the world's favorite fertilized cactus juice is starting to become rather scarce, mainly because of crop failure in Mexico. The demand for tequila is rising, which means prices are expected to go up and could be quite dramatic. First tortillas and now this? Oh no. Farmers also believe they could get more money by growing corn in order to create ethanol instead of the fuel that we need to party. With the price of corn seemingly on the rise, it seems the only way to keep tequila a profitable option for farmers would be to charge even more for it. So it's not the world that can't keep producing tequila, it's just that corn is a much more profitable option. Considering that it takes 8 to 9 years to grow blue agave and about 12 pounds of the plant to make one bottle, it's a surprise that it's not harder to come by than it already is. If someday ethanol manages to completely replace gasoline, you can just about kiss your Patron goodbye. Please don't tell us the world is running out of salsa too. Number 7. Fresh air. You might not always think about it, and you probably take breathing in fresh air for granted. But in places like China, the reality of pollution has set in and is causing some strange trends to go about. In places like Linfen, China, the air quality is absolutely horrifying. The city is basically surrounded by coal mines, and breathing air here would be like smoking 2 packs of cigarettes in one day. Even cities like Shanghai or Beijing can seemingly have a shortage of fresh air. Some entrepreneurs from England and Canada have come up with the amazing idea of selling their fresh air. First bottled water, now bottled air? Each bottle can fit about 150 breaths of fresh air, and it's becoming surprisingly popular. People who've used it say their throats feel much better and they feel happier. The problem is much larger than just China. Fresh air shortages can also occur naturally after dust storms or wildfires, and who knows how much longer until we're completely out. Number 6. Gold. Unsurprisingly, gold makes our list. Once the remainder of gold is discovered and mined, that's it. Some estimate the total of all the gold in the world we have is just about 155,000 tons. We can't just make gold at a factory, and the uses for gold is changing during the information age. This could cause it to become even more rare. The entire supply of gold in the world would be easily able to fit inside an Olympic-sized swimming pool. The price of gold is known to fluctuate quite often, but it's believed in a few years the price of gold will go soaring up. Pawn shops are just about willing to buy any amount of gold, and a lot of it will be melted and made into bullion. Places like Fort Knox spare no expense in guarding our gold supply. Nowadays, you most likely won't find a wife without a gold ring, so don't expect the price of this substance to be becoming worthless anytime soon. Number 5. Chocolate. There's no doubt about it, you might want to start stocking up on your Hershey chocolate bars because the world is starting to run out of chocolate, so enjoy it while you still can. Chocolate is one of everyone's favorite guilty treats, and it's been a delicious thing to eat since the moldable chocolate paste was created in 1847. Americans consume over 2.8 billion pounds of chocolate each year, or about 11 per person. Cocoa is derived from beans, and it primarily grows in countries which are close to the equator. There have been humanitarian concerns with the farmers in countries such as Nigeria, Cote d'Ivoire, Ghana, and Cameroon who produce it. Chocolate is a billion-dollar industry, and it would prove to be far too expensive to try to grow it in the US, if not downright impossible. The country who can produce these beans often resort to things such as child labor, which is being cracked down upon. Ghana relies on cocoa for just about 1/6 of their income, and the Ivory Coast produces about 30% of the world's total cocoa. Some workers are known to put up with 100-hour work weeks in order to keep up with demand. It's only a matter of time before chocolate either gets banned or will have trouble making its way to the US, especially if better conditions aren't provided. Number 4. Coffee. Many of us need this boiled bean juice drink to wake up in the morning and start off our day. A world without coffee might be a world many people don't want to live in. Somehow, coffee became the second most important commodity to humans, only after oil. Some of us couldn't even imagine a world without it. Coffee has numerous health benefits, a great smell, and our breakfasts just wouldn't be the same without it. Because it's so good, there's bound to be a shortage on it, considering only a select few countries are able to grow it. More than 2.25 billion cups of coffee are drank each and every day. Instability in countries that are often producing coffee, such as Brazil, Indonesia, Vietnam, and Ethiopia, have made it more difficult to get that delicious drink in your cup. Another reason for coffee shortages include droughts in these countries, which make it hard to grow. No one really wants Brazil to chop down their rainforest to make coffee, but it happens anyways. Although it seems like it needs to be done in order to keep up with demand, environmentalists have been pushing to end deforestation. Save the rainforest or drink coffee. This is a really tough decision, guys. Number 3. Rhinos. Rhinos are becoming one of the most endangered species on the planet, and something needs to be done in order to protect them. Many Chinese remedies call for rhino horn as an ingredient, and many claim it's a miracle drug. It's thought to have powers that can cure cancer, is an aphrodisiac, and cures hangovers. Despite the fact that it's made of the same material as fingernails, it's highly sought after, and people are willing to fork up a huge price in order to get their hands on it. The price of rhino horn can vary immensely depending on who it's sold to and where. It's also more expensive than any illegal drug out there. Some claim they're able to sell it for more than $60,000 per pound. With prices this high, poachers can make an easy buck and quick. Unfortunately, this makes it much more difficult to find rhinos in their natural habitats. Africa and even Europe all had rhinos at some point. The high price has financed their operations, and we can only hope there will be an end to this black market. Number 2. Mental sanity. With all the fake news websites floating around the internet, it seems as though people have lost a sense of reality. Each and every day, people just continue to lose their minds. In many countries, mental health has improved, but obviously, in other ones, it seems to be steadily declining. The World Health Organization estimates that 500 million people suffer from a psychological disorder. We've all seen, even recently, mass shootings, bombings, and the increase in terrorism. Some predict that depression in 2020 will be the leading cause of death right before cardiovascular disease. The increase in mental health disorders is likely from the increase in life expectancy and now increases in medical technology. Someday, they believe that people might be even able to live to 200 years old. Many current medications that doctors prescribe we are taking every day could have future side effects that we don't know about. What will this eventually lead to, and can our species handle the large amount of mentally unstable people in the future? And number 1, clean drinking water. Another thing that many countries take for granted, but many others don't have access to, is clean water. It's becoming more and more of a concern with the growing population. There are an estimated 2.8 billion people who don't have access to clean drinking water or don't have the means to properly clean it. It's not just third world countries anymore who have faced a shortage. Sometimes clean drinking water shortages can become contaminated, such as the incident that happened in Flint, Michigan. We've also seen some serious droughts that have happened recently in California. Although over 70% of Earth is covered in water, only 0.5% is actually drinkable. Yes, there are methods of turning salt water into drinking water, but trying to complete such a process on a scale of an entire city would prove to be extremely expensive.